Hello and welcome back to FMSCOUT. In today's video we're going to be taking a look at a 16-year-old striker who turns out absolutely amazing in this simulation. But just before we get into the video, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe with notifications on if you are new. My name is Steve, all levels. I also upload YouTube videos, so after you're done watching this one, come over and subscribe to me and say hi. That'd be great, it'd be lovely to have you. But let's get into this video. As you can see on screen, we are at Tottenham and the player that we are looking at is 16-year-old Dane Scarlett. He's an English striker, currently valued at 115k. Current ability is 1.5 star, which is obviously not good, but he's 16. And his potential ability is 5 star. He's currently 5'11". He is a striker. He's got some really good stats starting off, especially for a 16-year-old. He's got 14 finishing, 11 heading, good technique, good off the ball, good composure. So the foundations are there for him to be a really good player. His physicals are pretty good as well, starting off. I won't say his potential ranges until later in the video because I don't want to give it away for people who don't want it spoiled. So for the training to start off with, we're going to train him as a trequartista. I'm pretty sure that's how you say that, because it basically focuses on every stat you would want him to be good at. And the additional focus is going to be quickness, because we want him to be quick. We want him to be the best forward that he can be. And I think that's a good place to start. Having a look at the mentoring, we're going to have Dane Scarlett mentored by Hugo Lloris, who is a model citizen, and Harry Kane, who's a model professional. I feel like they're two good people to mentor him. It says he's going to have a significant effect from them, so let's hope some of their traits rub off on him. In terms of obtaining Dane Scarlett for your saves, he is 16, so you can approach to sign him. However, I tried it with 3 different teams. I tried it with Newcastle, Everton, and Manchester City. And the only person he would want to speak to is Man City. So I'm assuming in order for him to want to talk to you, the club reputation is going to have to be similar to Tottenham's, if not more. But I guess that's to be expected, isn't it? The last thing to look at is the tactic we're going to play. This is it. Dane Scarlett is playing right striker, Harry Kane left striker, and then I'll let the assistant pick the rest of the team. Hopefully that little English dynamic duo up front bangs in the goals and Tottenham go on to win some stuff for the simulation, but we'll see. I will jump 2 years into the future now and we'll see where he's at. We are now 2 years into Dane Scarlett's career. He's now valued at 20.5 million. He's a 2.5 star current ability with still 5 star potential ability. He's also grown to 6 foot, which is nice. His stats look to be coming along very nicely. Over the last 2 years, he's made major overall improvement in his physical and mental ability and a slight overall improvement in his technical ability. Starting with his physicals, his acceleration's jumped up by 3, agility up by 1, balance up by 3, his jumping reach has gone up by 2. To a 15, so as a 6 foot forward, that's pretty good. His pace is on the up but not gone up yet. Stamina's up by 1 and his strength's gone up by 1. So the training is working in terms of the quickness, which is nice. Going over to his mentals then, his anticipation's gone up by 3, composure up by 1, decisions up by 2, leadership up by 1, off the ball up by 1, teamwork up by 1, and vision up by 2. So he's coming along very nicely. He's still very, very young. And the last thing to have a quick look at is the technical attributes. His dribbling's gone up by 1 to a 14, first touch up by 1 to an 11, his heading's gone up by 1 to a 12, long shots up by 2 to an 11, and his technique has also gone up by 1 to a 13. So at 18, he's turned into a really good player. I'm going to be doing a 6-year simulation. I'm not sure if I mentioned that already. So there's still 4 more years to come, and already he's a very, very good player. Let's see how he's got on in the first 2 years. So in his first year at Tottenham, he played every single league game with 13 goals, 10 assists, and 1 player of the match in the league, averaging a 6.91. As like a 16, 17-year-old, that's pretty good. But if we look down here, which gives us a better indication to be perfectly honest, in 66 appearances in all competitions, he had 35 goals and 16 assists. So as a 16, 17-year-old, that is amazing. Looking at his second year, the one that has just been, in 38 appearances in the league, he had 23 goals, 5 assists, 5 player of the matches, and a 7.08 rating. In all competitions again, he played 53 games with 28 goals, 5 assists, and 5 player of the matches. So he is developing very, very nicely and coming along very well. So as he is at the minute, he is very, very good, and we're only 2 years into the simulation. Not capped by England yet, but he's still 18, so there's time for that. Looking at the training, I'm going to keep it as it is for another 2 years. I think it's worked pretty well up until this point. So if we do it for a couple more years, I think, and then I might look at changing it, because he's coming along very nicely. So if we can continue that sort of development, he's going to turn into a complete beast. I'll jump forward another 2 years now. If this is the bar that he's setting already for just being 18 in his career, you'd imagine his ceiling is pretty high as a player. So we'll jump forward 2 more years now. The year is now 2024. Dane Scarlett has just finished his 4th year in this simulation. He's still only 20 years old. He has now been capped by England. He's now valued at 60 million as well, so he's really coming along. 4-star current ability, 5-star potential ability, as it says here. An important player who can still improve. Looking at his attribute development over the past couple of years then, his acceleration is now up by 1 to a 17. Agility and balance have gone up by 2 each to a 14. His jumping reach up by 3 to a 15. His pace has gone up by 2 to a 16. His stamina up by 2 to a 12. And his strength has gone up by 1 to a 13. So he's coming along very, very nicely. Over to his mentals, his anticipation is up by 2 to a 14. Composure is up by 1 to a 14 as well. Decision making's improved a lot, up by 3 to a 13. His leadership has gone up by 2 and is now at a 9. Off the ball is up by 2 to a 16. teamwork up by 1, and his vision up by 2 to an 11. And the last thing to look at is his technicals. His corners has gone up by 1 to a 6, as if that matters. His dribbling up by 1, first touch up by 2 to a 13, heading up by 1, long shots up by 2, long throws up by 1 because, again, it's not really needed. His passing's gone up by 2 to a 10, and his technique has gone up by 1 to a 14. So he's developing very, very nicely. At only 20 years old, he's looking like a really, really good player. He's up to 6'1" now. His stats and all are pretty well rounded, and he looks really good. Let's see how we got on in the league in the last couple of years. So last season, in 38 games, he had 25 league goals, 9 assists, 2 player of the matches, and a 7.12 rating. But if you look down here, the more telling stats, 56 appearances, 32 goals, and 12 assists. So he's really developing. And the last season, as you can tell here, he's had a bit of a breakout year. He's averaged a 7.57 rating in 38 games with 42 goals, 6 assists, and 12 player of the matches. And if that wasn't impressive enough, in 60 appearances in all competitions, he had 64 goals, 13 assists, and 17 player of the matches. So he's turning into a complete star for this Tottenham side, and perhaps England going forward, because he has got his first cap now. So just before we jump forward the last 2 years, we're changing his training to false 9 and his additional focus to final third. It will basically just work on everything he's a little bit weaker on in terms of like the passing and teamwork, but in general, his stats are really, really good. His composure and decision making, we're going to have a bit of an additional focus so he can turn into a complete beast up front, and he's already really, really good. So hopefully that makes him amazing. But we'll jump forward the last 2 years and we'll see what's happened. So 6 years in, the final time jump has been done. He's now 22 years old, been capped 9 times for England now, but only scoring 2 goals. I'd expect that to be slightly higher, but he's still young. He's now valued at 73 million. Who's he wanted by? Man United, who's just won the league. His current ability is 4-star, potential ability is 4-star. Still thinks he can improve a little bit. But as you can see here, he's looking like a really, really good forward. As it has been the last time jump, we'll look at his attributes over the whole simulation. As you'd imagine, he's had major overall improvement across the board. So from the beginning, his acceleration and agility have both gone up by 4. So his acceleration is now 18, agility is a 16. His balance is up by 5 to a 15. Jumping reach up by 3 to a 16. Pace up by 3 to a 17. His stamina is up by 4 to a 13. And his strength up by 4 to a 14. So physically, he's turned into an absolute unit as a forward. And that's what you want. You want a quick striker who can finish the ball, and he's turned into that. Looking at his mentals then, his anticipation has jumped up by 5. His bravery has gone up by 1 to an 11. Composure up by 4 to a 17. His decision making has gone up by 7 in this whole simulation to a 15, which is actually really good. Leadership up by 4 to an 11. Off the ball up by 4 to a 17. Again, huge improvement there. Positioning up by 1. Teamwork up by 3. His vision's gone up by 6 over the simulation to a 13. And his work rate is also up by 1 to a 13. Again, mentally looking very, very solid. And the last thing to look at is his technical attributes. His corner's gone up by 2 to a 7 and his crossing up by 1 to a 10. They're not really stats we need, but at least he's working on his game in general, you know. A bit more relevant with the dribbling up by 4 to a 16. His finishing's gone up by 2 to a 16. First touch went up by 4 to a 14. And his free kick taken up by 2. Heading up by 3, long shots up by 4. His long throws again have gone up by 2 to a 7, but we don't really need that. His passing's gone up by 3 to an 11, so it's a bit more respectable. Penalty taking up by 1 to a 15, and his technique over the course of the simulation has gone up by 3 to a 15, so he's turning into a really, really good player, if you couldn't tell by that. And if you couldn't tell by this, he's looking absolutely solid. So looking at the final 2 seasons in this simulation, last season in 38 games he had 27 goals in the league, 6 assists, 4 player of the matches and a 7.17 rating. Pretty good. In all competitions, 59 games, 37 goals, 9 assists. And the season that has just gone, in 38 appearances in the league, he had 33 goals, 9 assists, 6 player of the matches, 7.4 rating. And in all competitions, he had 61 games, 57 goals, 14 assists, 7 player of the matches, which is genuinely just insane. He is an absolute unit. Over the course of his league simulation, in 228 games, he has 163 goals. But I wanted to see how many goals he had over the course of the simulation in all competitions, because I think that's a better indicator to how good of a striker he is. And I've added that up for you guys because I'm just that nice. So in 357 games he has 258 goals at the ripe old age of 22, so he's turned into an absolute unit. And if you can get a hold of him, 100% do. Like I said, if your reputation is higher than Tottenham at the beginning of the simulation, you'd probably be able to approach to sign him. If not, maybe just add him to your shortlist and hope somehow Tottenham want to let him go. But as you can see, he turns into a complete beast, so I doubt they're going to want to do that. And then just having a quick look to see the competitions that he's won over the course of his career. As you can see down here on the side, Tottenham have won the FA Cup twice in this simulation. And in this FA Cup final that is literally just gone, I'm pretty sure he got all 3 goals. He did. Dane Scarlett hat-trick to win the FA Cup. Dane Scarlett has also won the European Golden Boy 4 times in a row, which is just insane. And Dane Scarlett also won the Golden Shoe last year with his 42 goals, so he's turned into an absolute beast. I've just also noticed that Callum Wilson is on this, which is bants. One of the comments on the last video I did like this, someone said he wanted to see the team that he was playing with, so I won't go into it completely, but on the screen now are the people that he was playing with at least this past season, so if you want to pause it and have a look, there you go. I'll leave you on this screen to end the video. Let me know in the comments how you thought he got on. Was it better or worse than you thought? I didn't expect him to be this good and score that many goals, but he's turned into an absolute beast, and he is only 22. So if you're looking for a striker that you could potentially have for the next 10 to 15 years at least, that's going to guarantee you goals, Dane Scarlett is your guy. But that will do it for the video. If you enjoyed it, again, please give it a like and subscribe and notifications on if you are new. Like I said at the beginning, I also make YouTube videos and my channel is called Levels, so come on over and subscribe and say hi, it'd be nice to have you. Thanks a lot for watching guys, and stay safe, and we'll see you next time. Goodbye.